Hello, all you PC WrestlePod nerds out there, and welcome back to the Strong Style Syndicate, your New Japan Pro Wrestling review team here at the BC WrestlePod. I am one of your gaijin, if you will, Mikey, and joining me this evening, of course, is my better half, my other half to the Strong Style Syndicate in Adolfo, who is also a gaijin to all of this as well.
Hi.
That's more than I know.
Oh, like we have hit the limit of my Japanese, so we're good.
Oh my goodness. So we are here this evening to review New Japan Pro Wrestling's Sakura Genesis,
Very good.
which is like their big spring show and leads into what's going to be happening in June with the next big show. But also there's a lot of things that are happening in the next month or two and a little bit after that we're going to talk about. But before we jump into all of the goodness that was Sakura Genesis, if you like what you see on your screen here, or even if you don't, that's okay, because we love you either way. You could go ahead and follow us all over the social medias. Pretty much look up on any social media site at BC WrestlePod. We're there. I mean, we're pretty much on every social media site that you can think of. Just type. Yep. So whatever your method is, whether you're a Facebooker, Instagrammer, a threader, if you like the blue skies, if you will, if you're a TikToker, like we're pretty much on anywhere and everywhere. So make sure to go follow us there. If you want to see more fun stuff like our report cards for the shows, for the pay-per-views, for out of context clips that will totally not come and bite us in the butt as we down the line, when we do things like this. So it's always going to be a fantastic time. But of course, also we have some merchandise, link in the description below. It's a great time for sure. So please make sure to get all of that. But all that stuff out of the way, let us jump into Sakura Genesis.
So very fun. So to get any pageantry out of the way, at least for me, this is my second NJPW show that I watched. The first one was the New Year's show from the Tokyo Dome. Really enjoyed it. Not to spoil it, it was a very good show. If you have the means, definitely check it out. If you're a wrestling fan, if you like fun wrestling, if you like good looking wrestling, then definitely definitely if you get a chance to check it out. It was a good show. Or you don't even have to check the whole show out. Like each match was just really well put together across the board. So go ahead.
I appreciate that, Adolfo. So this is, well, funny enough, this is my first Sakura Genesis show, but this is not my first foray into the world of New Japan. Those of you who remember last year, me and JVL were lucky enough to review Wrestle Kingdom 18 as our first New Japan, as JVL is also a big New Japan fan as well. And then, of course, we had Wrestle Kingdom 19 this year in January. Me and Adolfo were also part of, not only that, we did a Stardom show, but we also did the following night after Wrestle Kingdom, which was Wrestle Dynasty with AEW, New Japan, Stardom, ROH, CMLL. It was a fun time to be had. Now that we have kind of gotten from their quote-unquote WrestleMania, if you will, which is Wrestle Kingdom, now the official seasons have begun, and Sakura Genesis took us from Wrestle Kingdom up into now with all the shows in between. They also had the New Japan Cup tournament, which led into our main event of who got to challenge for all of that. So we love it. It's fantastic. So
good.
Before we get into all of this, I want to put a disclaimer up right now. I am a Latino kid from California who is going to do his best to pronounce these names as best as he can. So please forgive me if I cannot pronounce these, names correctly. And I'm trying my best, y'all. With that, all that was, so we're going to try our best here. So really quickly, though, this was a pre-show match that I did end up watching after I originally watched the regular Sakura Genesis, so I don't really have too much to talk about. But our pre-show match, the dark show match, which we've come to know in Japan is usually like up-and-comers. So this match saw Murashima taking on Daiki Nag in a singles match. This was a quick 8-minute bout. I thought this was a lot of fun, and ultimately ended up defeating Daiki by submission. So I don't got a lot to add to all of this.
No, for all intents and purposes, it showed very strong fundamentals of wrestling. These guys, they didn't hit any crazy moon flips off the top ropes. They didn't try for any crazy like submissions or anything. It was straight up good wrestling, and I enjoyed it. Also, it wasn't like like in CMLL, the first match of the night, which is high energy and like gets you going, but it definitely did kind of get you ready for the night and for the type of wrestling that you were about to watch, which was very technically sound, good wrestling. And also for being new, I felt that both of them did great selling on everything. So
I agree. I thought this was a fun opener, and obviously because New Japan right now is in that interesting transition phase, over the last year or two with some of their bigger names going to the States and joining the companies there, we have to shift some stuff around and rely a lot on not only the Japanese talent that is still currently here, but also our gaijins who are still with the company as well. So very, very well. But I thought this was a fun pre-show match. And you know what? I would definitely be keeping an eye on these two for the next year or so. But let's get into the main card, so to speak, because we kicked things off on the main card with Sakura Genesis in a singles match that saw my boy, who had an excursion a year and a half ago in TNA, Yuya Uemura, taking on, I can't get over this jacket from Sonata. I'm just like,
yeah, right?
Oh my, it's so good. But
It's
we have
good.
a singles match, Yuya Uemura versus Sonata. So to give a little bit of background, Sonata has kind of been all over the place with his allegiances. Last we saw him, he was still in charge of his faction, Just Five Guys, who now became Just Four Guys after Sonata betrayed them and supposedly joined the Bullet Club War Dogs. So Sonata will coming out in a Bullet Club War Dog shirt. Sonata, we're going to talk about you in that a little bit because allegiances shifted again later on at the evening. But this was a singles match that we had, and I'm going to be honest. So Sonata is like one of the bigger names in Japan. So as much as I love Yuya, I wasn't expecting him to win. And to my surprise, Yuya does beat Sonata by submission in this.
Yeah, a really pretty one. It was a really nice reversal into an armbar by you. Got him the submission. Yeah, it was a crazy for the official first match of Sakura Genesis. It was crazy. You had Sonata tossing you into the announcers. It was almost as if Sonata had beef with the Japanese announcing team. It was funny seeing the English commentary table kind of like scritching this way as the Japanese commentary team just gets decimated. But that was really fun. You had tons of reversals. About close to the end, the ref got knocked down and Sonata hit Yuya with a low blow. And I was like, oh man, don't win like that. But yeah, that reversal came from Yuya into that armbar. Sonata submit, and Yuya gets the win for just
Four Guys. So, okay, so that's the funny part of all of this, too. It's because Sonata betrayed and allegiances were crazy. So, I believe it was at the Road to Sakura Genesis. So, this was about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Just Four Guys and Chaos, which is Orange Cassidy's faction of, New Japan, with Okada that was a part of it. It was at the Road to Sakura Genesis that the Ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi, kind of absorbed these two groups into his faction of Hontai. So Hontai now has like 7 new members. Wow. I'm like, wow, he's gaining, he's making this faction as big as he can before his retirement at Wrestle Kingdom next year.
Right?
So look, anybody who has been here since the Genesis BC WrestlePod knows that when we first started doing TNA and Yuya was on his excursion in the States, he was part of one of our favorite tag teams, mine, Will, and Andrew's team of Joya, which was Joe and Yuya. So it was a fantastic time, and to see him be able to take what he learned in the States and come back to New Japan and kind of keep climbing his way up the ranks, so to speak, makes my little happy heart. And Sonata at this point is Sonata. I feel like Sonata is doing what Okada did the last couple of years before he left New Japan, and it's just like doing whatever. Yeah. And he's out here in his like speaker jacket for no reason. I feel like Sonata is just phoning it in, but like in the best way possible. And I'm kind of here for it. But yeah, when the bell rings though, all that goes out the window and Sonata gets into I'm gonna kill you mode. And I love it.
Yeah, good match.
It definitely was. So once again, Yuya Uemura picks a win up for Hontai. And we move on to our next match of the evening, which was our first championship match for the night, which saw our champion ELP El Fantasmo defending his New Japan World Television Champion against the United Empire's Great Okan. First and foremost, I will never get tired of Great Okan's entrance and
so good.
the pageantry and the costume.
Oh yes, that is the word that Alice actually said, because I was watching and I paused it when Great Okan came out, because I know that Alice loves the dramatic entrances, and I was like, Alice, watch this guy, and he does the thing where he comes out and he's got the face covering and he removes it and he's looking down, he blows out the smoke, and then he like looks up and he's got the mouthpiece that looks like jagged teeth. Yeah. It was Great Okan. Always love his entrances.
Oh, absolutely. I love it so much. And so this was our first championship match of the evening. And you know what? This was a quick 10-minute bout, because as the New Japan TV title states, is that the matches don't go over more than 15 minutes. So that is kind of like the 15-minute time limit is the stipulation for this title. I was not expecting ELP to lose his championship so soon, because we got reminded from commentary that ELP just won this at Wrestle Kingdom back in January.
Yeah, I watched that, and it was a good match. Yeah,
cheers, man. Cheers.
So yeah, right. Yeah, so not to jump the shark, but Great Okan is your new NJPW World TV champ. The match, another really good, fun match. You had early on ELP. He was working Great Okan over. He tossed his Great Okan out into the audience, and I don't know if it's just like an outside of the North American wrestling thing, but the distance between the ring and the barricade is very small, and then the chairs for the fans are like right up there. So first off, El Fantasmo throws Great Okan literally into fans, right? Fans had to like scramble out of their seats. The seats get knocked over, and then El Fantasmo decides to take a page out of the Lucha book and does a flying, my God, I know it in Spanish. He does a plancha from the top rope over the thing and the barricade onto El Fantasmo out in the audience. And like as he lands, he like rolls into some empty seats and like smiles at the camera, which then later on, after El Fantasmo brings Great Okan back into the ring, I always notice things that happen like in the background. I saw the fans. Apparently, the fans that were sitting in those seats had like gone to go get concessions or something. Because when they came back, you see them in the background, like, and the NJPW person comes running in, and it's like, he's like fixing the chairs for it. It was good. But the action did come back into the ring. We had Great Okan. He ends up throwing ELP over the fence as well. However, I have to say that Great Okan, his win did not come without shenanigans, because what was the shenanigans?
He literally he did a backbreaker, but with the chair instead of his leg with ELP.
Yes. That's what it was. There was like there was this transaction where like a chair was thrown to someone else, and then like the ref got knocked out and couldn't see anything, and then he came to when ELP got like thrown in, and Great Okan, actually no, ELP didn't get thrown in because it was getting count out. Yeah, he counted out
back into the chair, like on the spine of the chair, and Great Okan gets in the ring and ELP can't make the count.
Yeah, and he can't make the count. That's right. Yep. So there you go.
Great Okan wins by count out and is your new Japan World TV champ.
Yep, for United Empire.
United Empire kind of ran away with it this evening. More on that when we get to a later match down the line. But my final thoughts about this match, I'm never not gonna love an ELP match. I love ELP so much. I also love Great Okan. Both of them are so good. And I smell rematch down the line in some capacity, because ELP will probably want that back at some point.
This is one of those rivalries that I would be more than happy to see stretch out to like a 3, 4, 5, like Hangman Adam Page type situation. Hangman Adam Page
Swerve
Hangman Adam Page Swerve Strickland situation. Yeah, where they're just forever rivals, But yeah, it's good, very good.
Love it. So we go into our third match, which is another singles match, but they needed to remind us that this show was sponsored by Fatal Fury, the fighting video game series, which I love, which also speaks to my nerdiness because listen, the ace Hiroshi Tanahashi cosplays one of the characters coming out.
Yep.
And I believe he came out with one of the voices for one of the characters.
So he came out with a professional cosplayer from Japan. I looked, the cosplayer's name was Momo something. I forgot the last name. Wait, did I write it down? No, I didn't write it down on these notes. I wrote down my other notes. Yeah, but the cosplayer's name is Momo Motanabe or something like that. But they are a professional cosplayer in Japan. And yeah, Tanahashi Senpai was dressed as one character from Fatal Fury, and this cosplayer came out as another character from Fatal Fury, and they walked to the ring and got in the ring together, and the cosplayer got introduced. It was really cool. It was cool.
It was really cool. If I remember correctly, Hiroshi Tanahashi came out as Terry Bogard, so I know that character very well from the Fatal Fury series. But this all to be said, this is a singles match between the ace Hiroshi Tanahashi taking on a kind of wanderlust, but like in the best way possible, Umino. Shota has been kind of on a journey himself after losing to gain the IGPW World Heavyweight Champion against Zack Sabre Jr. at Wrestle Kingdom, and he's kind of been figuring out where he belongs, where his allegiance are, he's literally discovering himself right now. And so over the course of the last month or two, she has told that, hey, I want you to face me so you could discover why you wrestle, things like that. Literally having a moment for those of you who are familiar with Kung Fu Panda, having an Oogway moment, self-discovery, and the power within, if you will.
Tanahashi Senpai.
Yes, Tanahashi Senpai. Yo, Tanahashi can still go. Like, I know we kind of get on him sometimes in his matches because he's getting up there and close to retirement. But honestly, I think he did a really good job of being able to, actually match Shota's energy, of course. Shota is the young one in this whole entire situation. And Hiroshi is the ace, the vet. I really liked this match. I thought it was a solid technical grap. And also showing the fundamentals, but also doing some fun stuff with it all. And hey, Shota ends up beating Hiroshi Tanahashi.
Yes, he
which
does.
was great. But I really love this match.
Yeah, I know the first few times I saw Hiroshi Tanahashi wrestle was when he was over in AEW. And again, like, I don't know what it is between a North American ring and then like a ring outside of North America, but to me, seeing the two matches I've seen Hiroshi Tanahashi wrestle outside of the US, the first one at Wrestle Kingdom and then this one, it was just like night and day between him and what I saw in AEW, because he just like, you could see why he is the ace. And he didn't do any like crazy moves. He did some still like high difficulty moves. He did hit like a corkscrew off the top rope. He also did some other, top rope maneuvers. But the beauty of it was in his more mano a mano exchanges with, when they did like the grappling and the reversing, and then like the tossing, bouncing off the ring. It was very, like, I don't want to say old school, like Bret Hart, watching when Bret Hart would wrestle, because Bret Hart never, like Bret Hart and like Stone Cold Steve Austin, like those guys, they never hit any super technical moves like flying or acrobatic or whatnot, but they were very technically sound on the mat and in their interactions and their back and forth. So, and that was this match as well. Yeah, we get the pin on Hiroshi Tanahashi, and we do have to mention that this is Hiroshi Tanahashi's final road, because these are the last few matches that he's wrestling before he retires, because I believe it is after Windy City Riot he's retiring, Mikey.
So Hiroshi Tanahashi, at least from in-ring competition, his final match will be at Wrestle Kingdom 20 in Japan in the Tokyo Dome next year in January. So January 2026.
Okay, but these are still like his last few matches, and who knows, like something could happen that could shorten that even more. Not I don't want to put that type of energy out there. I'm just saying, like, this is we're getting towards the end of Hiroshi Tanahashi in the ring, and this was a very great showing, a very powerful showing, and it was very touching seeing Shota, bowing to Hiroshi after he had pinned him, and Hiroshi was still like laying there after he was pinned, and and Shota got onto his knees and did the very respectful bow. Whether it was a work or whether it was real, I don't know. To me, it felt like it was, a bit of the wall breaking down and something a little bit coming out of kayfabe. It was really emotional. It was really beautiful. Great match. Really enjoyed it.
I 100% agree. This was a fun one. And like you said, we're getting closer and closer to Tanahashi's retirement at Wrestle Kingdom 20 next year. So, Asu, we're going to talk about you when we go over Windy City Riot, because you have a match there that is your final U.S. appearance, which is crazy.
Yeah. I do just want, because I just thought about this. Shota Umino did a very beautiful job of telling the story in the match, because at the beginning of the match, he just seemed very reserved, very like he didn't know what to do, right? But as the match went on, you saw Shota really start bringing it on, and it was like, dare I say, it was like an anime where you have the two like protagonists, and the one protagonist is trying to learn from the other protagonist, and the one teacher protagonist is like, nah, I'm not going to go easy on you. You need to get up to my level, and like, you have your Dragon Ball Z moment, Super Saiyan.
This is literally a tournament arc.
Segment. Right. Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. So that, towards the end, you saw, Shota really turning it on. And I felt like he really got that across really well. So.
No, absolutely. And we said it during our Wrestle Kingdom review too, is that Shota over the last year has kind of had the issue of being accused of being a Nepo baby, since his father is a referee in the company and stuff like that. But I feel like while his match at Wrestle Kingdom was a tad bit too long, because remember, him and Zack Sabre Jr. went for like 40 minutes. I feel like that it didn't need to be that long. I think since losing to Zack, I think whether it be his own decision, New Japan's decision, or a combination of the both, Shota is working his way back up and putting in the work in these matches too. And so I think the potential is there. And honestly, I would not be surprised if we see Shota get another chance at, the championship at the Tokyo Dome, whoever ends up as champion by Wrestle Kingdom 20. But also, good on Tanahashi to kind of help bring that out of him, because a wrestler who knows their path forward is the most dangerous type of enemy to have. Love it. Good. From here, we go into our first multi-man match of the evening, and this was a 6-man tag team match for the Never Openweight 6-man tag team championships. So this is faction on faction warfare. We had the champions, which, is the House of Torture, but in this match being represented by Ren Narita, Sho, and Yujiro Takahashi, taking on the challengers of the Bullet Club War Dogs, being represented in this case by the psychopath that I love, Gabe Kidd, Drilla Maloney, and of course my personal favorite entrance, Coat and Mask, and the Bone Warrior, Taiji Ishimori. I already knew on paper, I was like, House of Torture is involved. There's gonna be shenanigans. Shenanigans was had. Now, before we get into the shenanigan moment, I will say, I don't want to say squash match, but you knew that Bullet Club War Dogs was handing the House of Torture the beatdown.
Yeah. Where the last few matches up to this one were technically very beautiful to watch, this was beauty in violence, because that's like, take all the technical stuff out and just replace it with violence, and that's what this match was, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. You had the War Dogs came in, and I loved the synchronized drop kicks, the synchronized like tossing out that they did, and then Gabe Kidd and I believe it was Taji went up and they did the moonsaults, stayed in the ring.
Right.
It looked really pretty. It looked really good. The venue that they have Grand Sumo Wrestling every other month, which is the big sumo tournament. So seeing seeing that venue not dressed up for Grand Sumo was very, very interesting, and it brought me a delight. I was waiting for anyone that watches Grand Sumo knows what I'm talking about. I was waiting for people to start chucking the cushions into the ring. Anyway, so yeah, the War Dogs, they went right to it, but there was treachery afoot as the match went on, and the House of Torture kind of started getting it over on the War Dogs. You saw Sonata, and who was the other guy that came out? I know that he's a member of the War Dogs too.
I'm trying to think. Clark Connors, I think, was the one that ended up coming out towards the tail end of the match.
Okay, so Sonata and this other guy come out because Drilla is in the ring getting his ass handed to him by House of Torture, and you think that these two guys are gonna help the War Dogs, because the one guy does go and chase some guy's away, leaving Sonata and Drilla in the ring. And for some reason, Sonata had a guitar a la Double J Jeff Jarrett, and he turns around and he just smashes that guitar into Drilla Maloney's face. And,
except it didn't break.
It might be a real guitar. Yeah, and then Sonata was wearing like this one-piece jumpsuit, and he slowly unzips it, and he shows that he's wearing a House of Torture shirt. So treachery, villainy.
Also, Sonata, your boots were being a menace. Like,
yeah,
those are the Seth Rollins.
Yeah. Even commentary was talking about those boots.
But Sonata allegiance shifted because he betrayed Bullet Club War Dogs, which would allow House of Torture to retain the never openweight 6-man tag team championships. And for anybody who saw the promos or the press conference afterwards, because of another loss that would happen down the line, Gabe Kidd is sick of House of Torture shenanigans. So Gabe Kidd with Bullet Club War Dogs challenged the House of Torture to a cage match. And I'm like, oh Lord, here we go.
Yo, Gabe Kidd never disappoints. After that match, he was so hot. He
cursed in the camera.
In the camera and come here. He's so good. I hope he knows how to switch that on and off, because I don't want him to go over the top like that and his head pop. I mean,
his face is so red.
Yeah, he gets so red when he gets like that. And he's he does that on the constant. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's Gabe Kidd. He just a lot of intensity there. Good on him, and I'm excited for what's coming down the line.
Absolutely. So this is going to be a fun one for the future for that cage match. But House of Torture, still your 6-man, never openweight tag team champs. Oh my God.
Yo.
This match rule. This was in my top 3 of the whole entire card. Not even gonna lie.
I'm gonna preface this by saying I'm a stan for Konosuke Takeshita. I mean, if you want, go check my receipts on previous AEW reviews about me
at Wrestle Kingdom and Dynasty too.
Yeah, this match was fantastic. I think this was my match of the night. So yeah.
This ended up being in my top 3, and we'll talk about the other 2 because I haven't decided what's my number 1. But anytime Takeshita is in a match, I'm already sold. You got me 75% of the way there.
Oh yeah.
But to kind of give the whole entire intro portion of it, this match was for the never openweight championship, in which Konosuke Takeshita defended the title against the challenger of Rio, representing TMDK, the mighty Don't Kneel. Mm-hmm. So Young Punks, as we're coming to know them. I love it. This was fantastic. Watching Tasua just into the arena with the chairs, and then hopping. Oh, so good.
Watching tossing Takeshita.
That part too.
This was beef on beef action, but Japanese style, Kobe beef on Kobe beef, and it was fantastic. Oh man, yeah, these two, when they traded Pile Driver for Powerbomb, they were so pretty. All these power drivers and bombs and everything that they were hitting were so pretty, and they still were able to mix it up technically. It was such a good match. Good on Iowa's stablemates from TMDK that came out, that they didn't get involved in anyway. That was nice to see. But yeah, like I will admit, sir, that I thought Takeshita was going to lose his title. So, and that crescendo of him finally hitting that last Blue Thunder bomb or whatever, which actually
you guys
wins
is
matches.
crazy.
Yes, that's right. And he gets the 1-2-3. It was good. It was a really, really good match. Takeshita always, I don't want to deter anything from, but Takeshita is one of those wrestlers that will lift up the other wrestler that's with him, and he's just that good. So,
well, we've seen it. Takeshita, again, I mean, he's going to be pushing in his 30s relatively soon, but even still, I still call him a kid. This kid is able to work with all types of wrestlers, of styles and things, and we've literally just seen it in 2025 alone. Let's recap all the matches he's had so far. He went up against Ishii for the title at the Dynasty and at Dynasty. Not only that, he has fought the likes of Kenny Omega, which was also fantastic, and Will Ospreay and Ricochet and all that stuff, which is crazy to think of. And then on top of that, like he just like last month or back at the end of February, beginning of March, he
was down in Mexico.
Yeah, he had an incredible match against, for the title in Mexico. It's like always ends up having great matches because I don't know if it's him or, or a combination of both people involved, but Takeshita, I feel like always has an understanding of who his opponent is and how they operate and work too. Like it is so dang good. And then he could also do the comedy because in his DDT wrestling, like there's that viral clip I sent y'all a couple months ago where they were wrestling on a track and field and Takeshita literally was running and jumping over hurdles to to like boot kick somebody in the face.
Yeah. No, it's good. I also, I have seen like slight glimmers of Takeshita dropping his character, and I feel like he is living as that 12-year-old kid and is loving what he's doing,
right? Which is important because sometimes wrestlers stop caring and don't like they have a moment of like, I don't really know if I like this anymore, but
Takeshita, and they start phoning it in and they start causing troubles and this, that, the other. But Takeshita, no,
and I haven't seen any reports either. Like Takeshita is so humble. Literally, we saw this man break down crying because of how appreciative it was to get to wrestle in Mexico when he defended the championship. And this is spectacular. And this was no different. This was another fantastic match. Honestly, if Takeshita keeps putting out bangers, he may end up being like my favorite male wrestler in 2025 this year. Not even gonna lie. He's so darn good. But we move on from this match though, because we have another championship, this time for the IWGP Tag Team Championship match, in which we have the champions of Los and my personal favorite coat, I need it very much, is Takahashi. I love them so much. But they are taking on the challengers representing United Empire, which is Callum Newman. And of course, our favorites, Jeff Cobb. Like, this was also part of my top 3. Jeff Cobb, man, is so damn good. And I feel like people need to stop sleeping on him. He's listen, the fact that he hit not 1, but 2 tours of the island was crazy. I love this match so much. Not just because I'm biased. I love United Empire. I think Jeff Cobb and Callum Newman are fantastic. But Naito looked so damn good in this match too, which is crazy. Because I know we talked about it at Wrestle Kingdom that because he was still being plagued with injuries and dealing with all of that, he didn't look like he was working at 100%. Not this one. But I think that's because he's working with Takahashi and then of course United Empire. But this was just fast paced because this was a 10-minute match. There was just all 4 of them could put their foot on the gas. There was no breaks. Like people were pulling out things. The combination of Jeff Cobb's Tour of the Islands into Callum Newman's modified like DDT that looks so devastating to watch. And to my surprise, the United Empire win and are your new IWGP Tag Team Champs.
Which is crazy. That's crazy. Because didn't the other 2 just get the championships like a few months ago? Yeah, because they didn't have him at Wrestle Kingdom.
No, they didn't have him at Wrestle Kingdom, and they didn't win them at Dynasty. It was one of the shows in between where Hiromu and Naito actually defeated the Young Bucks to become champs.
Yeah, that's right. No,
Bucks
no, it
won
wasn't.
Bucks
you're
won
right.
the titles
You're right.
at Dynasty, and
You're
it was
right.
at one of the shows in between
You're right.
Dynasty
Sorry,
and now
yeah.
at Sakura Genesis. And it was, and we talked about it a little bit offline because it was the first title defense for the Bucks, and then they immediately lost it to Los.
Yep. You know, in this match, yet again, Naito, same thing as Tanahashi for me. Like the first few times I saw him, I saw him in AEW. He had that one match against Moxley, which a lot of people liked. I didn't like. And seeing him in an AEW ring, I was like, what? I don't get it. Seeing Naito outside in these past 2 times I've seen him I get it now. I get it. Especially after this match. He looked very good. He looked very sprightly. If for whatever injuries he might have been nursing or he's gotten over. So yeah, I get it. Jeff Cobb, he's just a big, beautiful man. What can I tell you?
Seriously. I'm gonna have your babies. Just kidding, man. But yeah, and I mean, at the end of this too, we have United Empire with our new tag champs and the Great Okan, the new New Japan TV champion, all celebrating the wing. United Empire is on the upswing. They are getting championship golds back. So fantastic. This was really good. So this was a great tag team match, which leads us into our semi-main event of the evening, which is for the IWGP Global Heavyweight Championship, which has the challenger representing the House of Torture and taking on the champion, our IWGP Global Heavyweight Champion, and Yota Tsuji. This made my top 3 just from the first 5 minutes alone, because how they kept this a secret all this time was crazy to me. But of course, we get like the Helsing-esque entrance of Yota Tsuji in the all red with the hat and everything, which I love. That's his signature now.
Good.
But of course, it's House of Torture shenanigans, evil, and a couple of the members come out to attack what is Yota Tsuji. They get into the ring, and they played it very smart because person was covering themselves. It's like, oh my gosh, Yoda's getting attacked. We get the face reveal. It is not Yota Tsuji. It is his twin brother. I was like, and even commentary was like, yo, he has a twin. I was like, Yota Tsuji has, my God, they played this so beautifully. I was like,
what a twin.
That is crazy to me that the world found out at the same time that Yota Tsuji has a twin brother. And I'm like, oh my God, they look exactly the same. That is some Parent Trap shenanigans.
And it only took a beatdown by the House of Torture to find this out.
But what I love this, and just for the pure entertainment value alone, at the first 5 minutes, Yota Tsuji's like, I know it's gonna be some shenanigans, so let me play shenanigans back. And so the House of Torture realizes, like, oh crap, this is not the champion. Cue Yota Tsuji coming in and kneeing and kicking people in the face, which then allows the match to get underway. Once we got through the shenanigans, evil is evil. Like, say what you will about House of Torture. Like, I think he's a reliable hand, but I will say, if he ends up becoming IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, I may or may not be here for it. I'm not. But when I tell you that Yota Tsuji, I feel like is very underrated, and we talked about this again during Wrestle Kingdom. Like, he had a baller match at Wrestle Kingdom and Dynasty too. So Yota, I think, works such an interesting style. Also, shout out to the commentary team. Y'all got some brownie points for me because I forgot what it was, but he did a plancha, but they worded it to be like Yota Tsuji's name or something like that. I was like, y'all get brownie points for me because that was fantastic. But this was great. I was surprised it got a full 20 minutes for this match, but I have to give Evil some credit here. I thought he did pretty good. Of course, towards the tail end, we get House of Torture shenanigans with people coming in. The twin brother makes a reappearance, but then we also get the save from, oh my gosh, why am I blanking on name? I'll remember it, but it's one of Yota Tsuji's allies in their faction too, and I will get the name right now because he faced Bryan Danielson. Shingo Takagi. There we go.
Yes, you go.
So Shingo Takagi comes in for the save and, clears house with House of Torture. The twin gets out of the way. Yota Tsuji hits his finisher. 1, 2, 3, your winner, and still IWGP World global heavyweight champion Yota Tsuji. I actually really liked this match a lot more than I thought it was, because as soon as I saw Evil, I'm like, okay, it's gonna be a shenanigan fest. But no, Evil actually had to kind of work for it, and he kind of did before House of Torture came in towards the tail end of the match.
Yeah, I have found it in modern wrestling, it is difficult to have a match where you have the heels throwing in shenanigans and it doesn't bog down the match, because oh so often when that stuff happens, that whole nonsense kind of becomes the match. The heels and their interruption becomes the match, right? And this match was able to strike that balance, I felt, where you did have shenanigans from the heels, but there were just enough shenanigans from the baby faces, if you will, that it like canceled each other out and made for a good story. So yeah, I very much enjoyed this match.
I loved it too. I thought it was great. And then finally, we get into our main event of Sakura Genesis for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. We have the winner of the New Japan Cup, which, would allow them to have this match at Sakura Genesis, in the leader of Bullet Club War Dogs, David Finlay, taking on the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion in Hiroki Goto. So this match actually had some personal stakes for Goto into this, because Finlay has been a menace and like doing some horrible things to Goto in front of his actual children, which was wild to watch those recap. I love the recap videos, by the way, for the matches New Japan. I was just like, listen, for those of us that don't watch all the smaller shows for New Japan, you covered how we got to this point very beautifully, which I love.
Yep.
And of course, I'm a sucker for like very like anime-esque music and narrating. It is fantastic. Love it. But this is also my top 3. And dare I say that, no, I still put Takeshita as my number 1, but this is my number 2 match of the evening. I thought both Goto and Finlay did a very good job in being the main event. This was 25 minutes. So I'm very familiar with, Hiroki Goto over the last couple of years of following New Japan on and off. But now to see this intensity, because there were some stakes involved with his children there, it's a lot of fun to watch Goto kind of be more aggressive than he has been in the last couple of years. And honestly, I think this is probably David Finlay's best match to date. I think now that he's finally found himself in the character and the position that he is as the leader of Bullet Club War Dogs since getting that role over like a couple years ago, I think now that he's more comfortable with the character, he can let his wrestling speak for itself. And these two actually put on a really fantastic match. I love this one.
This was a really solid match. Very dramatic. You could tell that the emotion was there. So yeah, it was good. Really quick, I love that championship belt. I think it's
the butterfly belt, as I call it. It took me a minute to get used to it when they introduced it a couple of years ago, but I love it. I think the design is nice. Beautiful.
But this match was really good.
I loved it. And then of course Hiroki Goto does retain the championship. Fantastic main event. And then David Finlay honestly, I think if things don't change for Bullet Club War Dogs, depending on what happens at that cage match, I honestly think that Gabe Kidd's probably going to take over as leader.
I mean, it would make sense. He also kind of has the momentum right now.
Right.
He had that big match at the beginning of the year.
Still lives rent free in my head. And I don't know. It's already immediately in my top 5 for the year. So when we get to the end of the year, it'll probably stay there. And then I got to figure out how I'm going to pick from that list to be number 1. But this was a really great main event. I thought it was very strong. As we said earlier, Hiroki Goto does retain and is still your IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. He gets on the mic afterwards to speak, and then we get not of a confrontation, but we get a mic off, if you will, between him and Umino. So Hiroki Goto is a fighting champion, and we're going to talk about it in a little bit, but at Windy City Riot in the main event, it is going to be Hiroki Goto defending the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship against Shota Umino. So Shota gets to get another shot at that title, and we shall see if he's successful or not in the Windy City of Chicago, Illinois. But that does bring us to the end of our Sakura Genesis review. Overall, I think that the show itself was very strong. It was very good. I will admit, I think the first half of the pay-per-view, while I did enjoy the matches, it did take a little bit to kind of get where it needed to be and ramp up. But I think once we hit the 6-man never open weight championships and the rest of the matches that followed, I think definitely kicked the show up into a high gear. But I still love the show from top to bottom. I thought they did a good job of placing the matches where they need to be, and the matches didn't need, it also felt like the matches didn't overstay their welcome. I feel like all the matches had the appropriate amount of time for them.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I was going to disagree because I really enjoyed the first half of matches, but kind of thinking back, that like
the energy level went up because from the 6-man, then it was Takeshita's match, and then the tag team champs, and then the global heavyweight, and then the world's heavyweight championship matches were after that too. So overall, Sakura Genesis was a success, and I'm excited. This is a good one, and I can't wait to look towards Sakura Genesis next year.
Yeah. And our next pay-per-view.
Yes. So now we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But first, we do have a little bit of news that dropped during the show, which I would love to go over before we preview Windy City Riot, because they announced during the shows that the tournament coming up very soon is the Best of the Super Juniors. So this is basically like your cruiserweight tournament in which you have to be under 220 pounds is what they said. And we have a whole host of people in this lineup for it. So part of the Best of the Super Junior tournament is that your junior world heavyweight champion is involved. So, of course, we have Despy in here, El Desperado, who is your champion, participating in this. But we also have the rest of the field, and it is as follows. We have El Desperado, Taguchi, Yo. I love that. I also love the graphics they did for this. This is fantastic.
It's really
Master Wado, the time splitter himself, Kushida, the other half of the time splitters in the Jet, Kevin Knight. We have also one of my personal favorites, and I cannot wait for you to see him in Ninja Mac. I love Ninja Mac so much. He is great. We also have Bushi, one of the few masked Japanese wrestlers here, which he represents, we have Francisco Akira representing United Empire. Bullet Club War Dogs, Taiji Ishimori is in here, which I love. Also representing the War Dogs is Clark Connors. We also representing House of Torture is Bukane. We don't know who it is yet, but we have a CMLL representation.
CMLL person. Very interesting.
It has to be someone underneath 220 pounds. So I'm like Templario, but who knows?
It's heavier than 220.
Titan, maybe. Oh man, if Titan was in here.
But isn't Titan NJPW as well?
That is very true. So if we're gonna have somebody who's not New Japan related but CMLL, the possibilities are endless. We're gonna have to find out when the tournament begins later. We representing Dragon Gate is Dragon D. So Dragon Gate is another promotion in Japan, which is very, very cool. Representing DDT is Mao. And then representing AEW and Wayne's World himself, Nick Wayne is going to be in this tournament. And I'm actually kind of excited to see Nick Wayne here.
Yeah, right. Let's start giving Nick that push that we've been talking about since last year. Thank you very much. My three that I believe we might see from CMLL. These are my three CMLL picks for this. Leon, Mascherano Jr.
Yo, I want to see Soberano Jr. in this thing so bad.
Oh man, that'd be good. It's good.
So we will keep you updated because me and Adolfo are going to figure out, because it is a short tournament during the summer. And I was like, who knows? We may or may not do a quick recap. I'll be like, here's how the tournament went. But let's get into the other half before we sign off for the evening. And literally in Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 4 days, it's the next New Japan show. This time we're heading stateside to the Windy City of Chicago, Illinois for...
Wrong slide.
There we go.
Windy City Riot. There we go.
Windy City Riot, the final U.S. appearance of the Tanahashi.
Yeah.
I would like to thank New Japan for not wasting time, and they already have the order of the card for us. So we're going to go in order for what's starting us off to the main event. So kicking things off for Windy City Riot, we start with a strong Survivor match because this is Windy City Riot also pairs up with New Japan Strong, which is like their U.S. subsidiary. So these are folks that are exclusive to Strong and also regular New Japan. But this is a strong Survivor match, which is our opener. So we're getting Zane J versus CJ Tino. No idea who these two are, but am I looking forward to this match? Yes, because I want to be introduced to new talent.
Yep. Yep.
So that is the opening match. Our second match of the card has Filthy Tom Lawler of MLW fame taking on United Empire member and TJP.
Filthy Tom Lawler. Wow. I hope that he's better because
he was limping during Battle Riot.
Was limping pretty bad during Battle Riot. I haven't seen any news that he's been injured or anything like that, but it's going to be interesting to see Filthy Tom Lawler out there as not one of the Filthy Bros. So
it's crazy. Also, if you ever get a chance or have time, Adolfo, like me and JVL love TJP, especially when he gets super serious in his matches, because 2 years ago at Wrestle Kingdom, he came out as the Aswang version of TJP, which is like folklore of Filipino culture. And I'll send you a picture in a little bit after we're done because it looks. So this is the second match of the evening. Our third match is a New Japan Strong Women's Championship #1 contender match. So winner will go on to face Mercedes Moné for the title. And it is two of my personal favorites. Everybody wants Mina taking on Stardom's Azumi, who we are also familiar with from her time in AEW and New Japan and Stardom and all that stuff. So I'm like, I'm so excited.
Oh, it's good.
Fight forever is what I say, because this is the time they go up against each other.
Yep.
This is going to be a good match. So in our sixth match of the evening, we have a regular tag team match, which sees ELP teaming up with Rocky Romero. Now he's in New Japan, so New Japan Rocky Romero is actually kind of great too. I'm not gonna lie, but
not as good as CMLL Rocky Romero.
Oh no, New Japan Rocky Romero is a face, but he gets to do more flying shit, which I love.
Right.
But they are taking on Los Inc. But the iteration this time is Tetsuya Naito and our favorite from CMLL and New Japan.
Man, excited.
I can't wait. This is gonna be such a great match. 1, 2, 3. So good. Seventh match of the card. Yes, ma'am. David Finlay versus Zack Sabre Jr. Say no more.
Zack Sabre.
We're going to be seeing a lot of Zack in the next 2 weeks. Not even going to lie.
I know.
He's going to be here at Windy City Riot. He's at Bloodsport for GCW, at Joey Janela's Spring Break, and Effie's Big Gay Brunch.
Yep. I am here for it. Greatest technical fighter alive. Greatest technical wrestler alive. I will die on the hill.
I'm so excited. I love Zack Sabre Jr. and him and David Finlay are probably going to have a good one. Then we get into the eighth match, which is our semi-main event. To no surprise, is Hiroshi Tanahashi, whose final U.S. opponent is Konosuke Takeshita. Listen, Takeshita's just having a great 2025. He gets to be the final opponent for Tanahashi in the U.S.
Man, it's going to be such a good match. None of Takeshita's belts are on the line, though, right?
No, this is just a special singles match.
A special. Okay, good. That makes me even happier.
But I'm excited to Tanahashi going at it. This is going to be so good. One thing I forgot to mention, back to really quickly to Mina and Azumi's match. The winner of that match will be going on to face Mercedes at Resurgence in May. I'm hoping to go to that show because it's in Ontario, California. So I want
nice.
Listen, I'm not gonna lie. I will go if either one win, but if Mina wins, I'll be like, all right, I gotta go now. I want to be able to see Mina in person. Like, she's so good. But so this is the semi-main event, and then in our main event, to nobody's surprise, for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, Hiroki Goto defending the title against Umino. So, and Windy City Riot is this Friday, April 11th, and you can watch the show for $19.99 on New Japan World.
On the New Japan World.
On New Japan World.
Admittedly, that website takes a little getting used to. It's a Japanese style website, so just prep yourself. But yeah, I'm excited.
So, but Adolfo, this was a great review. I'm happy to have my other Gaijin brother with me as part of the Strong Style Syndicate team. And honestly, we'll be back next Monday to review Windy City Riot, so we don't even gotta wait that long this time.
I'm excited, and we'll see you next week for the Windy City Riot review.
Yep, at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here at the BC Wrestle Pod, a YouTube, Twitch, conglomeration thing we got going on. But we're gonna get up on out of here because Adolfo and I gotta talk New Japan business for a little bit. But we want to thank you so much for being here for another Strong Style Syndicate review. We will be back next Monday for Windy City Riot and the Tanahashi's final United States appearance and match. But until then, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay Bi-Conic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We will see you next Monday for Windy City Rise. Thank you so much for tuning in to another Vibe Tribe production. What's going to happen next time? Well, you're going to have to tune in to find out. But until then, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, make sure that you keep the good times rolling. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.